Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedAlliance, and today we're going to be doing a Salamangreat deck profile. So I'm really excited to see you guys because this deck just got a major consistency boost, giving us back a second copy of Salamangreat Circle. I'm really excited to show you guys what I've changed in this deck from the previous list because it is an insanely powerful deck. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards like in your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first I'll be playing 3 copies of Salamangreat Foxy. This card is a great 3 of in the deck because it has the ability that when this card is normal summon, you can excavate the top 3 cards of your deck. And if you do, you get to add 1 excavated Salamangreat card to your hand, and then you shuffle the rest back in the deck. And if this card is in the graveyard and a face-up spell or trap card is on the field, then you can discard any Salamangreat card to special summon this card. And then you can destroy 1 spell or trap on the field, which is a really good effect just to be able to pop spells and traps, and to be able to special summon this card back to your side of the field, and even be a searcher to excavate the top 3. We then play 3 copies of Salamangreat Spinny. Salamangreat Spinny is a great special summon in the deck because it has the ability that if you control a Salamangreat card, you can discard this card to target a face-up monster on the field, and it gains 500 attack until the end of the turn. And if you control a face-up Salamangreat monster other than a Salamangreat Spinny, and this card is in the graveyard, you can just special summon this card back to your side of the field, but banish it when it leaves the field. We then play a single copy of Salamangreat Gazelle. Gazelle is the best of all of the Salamangreat cards, but it's still currently at 1, so we're only going to be playing 1 copy of this card. It has the ability if a face-up or if a Salamangreat monster is sent to the graveyard, except Salamangreat Gazelle, then you can special summon this card from your hand, and if this card is normal or special summon, you can send a Salamangreat card from your deck to the graveyard, except another copy of itself, which is a great effect to be a special summon and a Foolish Burial. We then play just a single copy of Salamangreat Jagger. This card is a great card because it has the ability, if this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage to your opponent. And if you control a Salamangreat Link monster while this card's in the graveyard, you can target a Salamangreat monster in the grave and then shuffle that target in the deck. And if you do, special summon this card to a zone your Salamangreat Link monster points to, which helps out the deck a lot just to be able to give you another special summon. We then play a single copy of Falco. Falco is also a special summon because this card, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target a Salamangreat spell or trap in the grave and set it to your field. And if this card is in your graveyard, you can target a Salamangreat monster you control and then return it to the hand. And if you do, special summon this card, which helps out the deck a lot just to be able to give you another monster to summon. You play a single copy of Salamangreat Fowl. For the last 1 of Salamangreat card, I love 1 copy of Fowl in my build because it has the ability that if a Salamangreat monsters except another copy of Fowl is normal or special summoned to your field, then you can special summon this card from your hand, which gives you a great extender for the deck. It also has the ability that you can once per turn send a Salamangreat card from your hand or face from field to the graveyard, target a set spell or trap your opponent controls, and that set card cannot be activated this turn, which comes up every so often, especially if you know what your opponent has set. We then play a single copy of Lady Debug. Lady Debug is a great normal summon in the deck, but I only feel like you really need 1 copy of this card with all the other extenders in the build. It has the ability if you normal summon or special summon this card, you get to add a level 3 or lower Cyverse monster from your deck to your hand, which is a great effect just to be able to get additional monsters to the hand. Now I do play 3 copies of Flame Buffalo. Flame Buffalo is a great card because it has the ability that if this face-up card leaves the field, you can discard a Cyverse monster, and if you do, draw 2 cards, which you're going to be link summoning with this card all the time, and it's super easy to summon to your side of the field. We then play 3 copies of Parallel Xyz. I love 3 copies of Parallel Xyz in this deck because you're going to be link summoning all the time, and you can special summon this card from your hand if you can special summon this card from your hand to your side of the field if you do link summon, which is pretty cool to a zone that monster points to. And it also has the ability, if this card is special summoned, you get to also special summon an additional copy of Parallel Xyz from the deck to a zone that card points to, but both of your Parallel Xyz become level 4, helping you go into rank 4 plays and reduces the attack and defense of both the Parallel Xyz to 1,000. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom as well. This is basically here just to stop the opponent from touching the deck, which is super helpful in this build. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Harpy's Feather Duster. With Skill Drain running around, I figured why not play one copy of Feather Duster in this build. It's a great card just to deal with all your opponent's back row. One copy of Called by the Grave just to stop your opponent from hand trapping you. So this card is a very good one of in this build. One copy of Salamangreat Sanctuary. This card is a really good field spell that has the ability that if you link summon a Salamangreat Link monster, you can use one Salamangreat Link monster you control with the same name as the entire material for that link summon. Basically reincarnate summoning your Salamangreat monsters. It also has the ability that during the damage calculation, if your link monster battles, you can pay 1,000 life points to target a link monster that you control, make its attack points 0, and if you do, gain life points equal to the original attack of that monster, giving you a little bit of a life point boost if you do need it. We then play 2 copies of Salamangreat Circle. I am so glad this card went back to 2. It helps out the deck a lot because it is a searcher for the deck, because you get to activate one of the 2 effects to either add a Salamangreat monster from your deck to your hand, or target a Salamangreat Link monster you control that was link summon using a monster with the same name as a material, or reincarnation summon, and that link monster is unaffected by monster effects this turn except its own, and you can only activate one Salamangreat Circle per turn. We then play 2 copies of Will of the Salamangreat. This card is a crazy awesome, basically soul charge card that has the ability that during the main phase, you can special summon a Salamangreat monster from your hand or graveyard, and then it also has the ability that you can send this card face up, or this face up card from the field to the graveyard, target a Salamangreat Link monster you control that was link summoned using a monster with the same name as a material, and then you get to special summon Salamangreat monsters from your hand or graveyard in defense position up to the link rating of that monster, which is an insane effect just to be able to special summon up to 3 or so Salamangreat monsters to your side of the field from your hand or graveyard to just give you all sorts of different link materials. We then play 3 copies of Cyanide Mining because it's a great searcher in this build that has the ability to send any card from your hand to the graveyard to add a level 4 or lower Cyverse monster from your deck to your hand. I love this card at 3. It's a great searcher, and it's super helpful to basically have 5 of them now because you have 2 Salamangreat Circles and 3 copies of Mining as well. We then play for the last 3 spells. I'm playing 3 copies of Chalice. Chalice is really good because it lets you target a face-up monster on the field and negate its effects, which helps out a lot in this deck to be able to just set this card with a bunch of your other cards to be able to just go in and negate those monster effects. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Salamangreat Rage. Salamangreat Rage is a great card to search in the deck because it has the ability you can send a Salamangreat monster from your hand or face up from a field to the grave and then target a card on the field and destroy it, or target a Salamangreat Link monster you control that was link summoned using a monster with the same name as a material and destroy cards your opponent controls up to the link rating of that monster, being upwards of 3 cards that you can pop with this card. We then play 2 copies of Salamangreat Roar, which is basically the Infernity Barrier of the deck, which is really, really good. It's easily searchable in this build and has the ability that when a spell or trap or monster effect is activated, while you control a Salamangreat monster that's a link monster, you can negate the activation if you do destroy that card. And then while this card is in the graveyard, if a Salamangreat link monster is link summoned to your field using a monster with the same name as a material, you can set this card but banish when it leaves the field, giving you multiple uses out of this card. We then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence to round out the traps. This card is really good because you can negate monster effects, which is a great thing in this deck, and it is a super helpful card. So that's it for the traps, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf. This card is a great 3 of in the build that has the ability that it takes 2 fire effect monsters to link summon this card, and if a monster is normal or special summoned to a zone this card points to, except during the damage step, you can add a fire monster from your graveyard to your hand. But for the rest of the turn, you cannot normal summon or special summon monsters with the added monster's name. And then during the main phase, if you control this card that was link summoned using a Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf as a material, again, kind of reincarnation summoning the card, then you can add a Salamangreat spell or trap from your graveyard to your hand, which is a pretty good effect to be able to add those spell or traps from your graveyard to your hand. Is a super helpful effect to give you multiple uses out of your circles, rage, roars, wills, all of those cards, giving you multiple uses out of them. We then play 3 copies of Salamangreat Bailings. Bailings is a great starter for the deck because this card just takes any Cyverse monster to link summon into this card, and if this card is link summoned, you get to add a Salamangreat Sanctuary from your deck to your hand, and if any of your Salamangreats that cards you control would be destroyed by battle or by card effect, then you can banish this card from the graveyard instead to protect them. We then play Double Heat Leo. Double Heat Leo is super good in this deck because this card is a really good boss monster that if this card is link summoned, then you can target one card on your opponent's spell and trap card zone and shuffle it into the deck. And then once per turn during your main phase, if this card was link summoned using a Salamangreat Heat Leo as a material, then you can target one face-up monster on the field and one monster in the graveyard, and the attack of the first target becomes equal to the other target's attack. Being able to boost your monsters or reduce your opponent's monsters is a really good effect. Now I will recommend to you guys, this card does have 2 printings, so the reason I actually play both arts in this deck is so I can remember that you actually have reincarnate summoned the monster, basically summoning this one first, and then when you use this card as a material, you summon out this one, which is more blazing, it has more fire on it, so that you can remember that you've actually reincarnate summoned, which is super helpful for this deck. We then play a single copy of Access Code Talker because Access Code Talker can pop multiple monsters and multiple cards on the field, and it's a really good boss monster in the deck. I really love this card. If you want to change it out for a copy of Borreload Dragon, I highly recommend changing out for Borreload if you're looking for a more budget list, because Salamangreats are a very budget rogue deck, but this card is a really good one of in this build. One copy of Transcode Talker because it's easy to summon to your side of the field and is walking monster reborn for this deck. One copy of Update Jammer because Update Jammer is just a really good card that when you use this card as a link material, then the monster that was link summoned using this card can attack twice. One copy of Splash Mage. Splash Mage is a card that has the ability to target one Cyverse monster in the graveyard and special summon in defense position, which is really helpful to help you climb into other monsters. Lingaribo is just a really good starter for the deck as well because it has the ability that when your opponent activates a trap card, then you can tribute this card, negate the activation if you banish that card, which is a pretty good effect to be able to protect you from trap cards. One copy of Mirage Stalio. I'm so glad that they brought Mirage Stalio back to 1 because it helps out the deck a lot. Has the ability to detach a material from this card, special summon a Salamangreat monster from your deck in defense position, and also you can't special summon monsters, or you can't activate monster effects for the rest of the turn except for fire monsters. And if this link summon card is sent to the graveyard as a material for the link summon Salamangreat monster, you can target a card on your opponent's side of the field, or target a monster on the field and return it to the hand, which is a great card effect. And then the same copy of Abyss Dweller just to lock down graveyard. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really fun deck to play with. I highly recommend that if you've not played with Salamangreats, you definitely should, because it is an insanely powerful rogue deck, and it's super amazing that we actually got Circle back to 2. So anyways, guys, this is Dark Armed Duelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next videos. See you later, guys.